Yeah. Come on. Tell me this thing's working. Come on. Oh, that's ridiculous. I'm so pissed. I don't. This is totally ridiculous. Why is it not showing? What a bummer. Yeah, it's definitely. There's another way. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, no, it totally is. Are we good? Does it sound good? Come on, Joe, get back in here. Joe. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Now, Macs are. It's because Macs hate Chrome and it has to take what it gets when it opens the audio channel. It's sort of my job. Yeah, so I did get a new direct USB, not analog lav mic. I was using an old one and it just kept getting analog EMI and resistance and crap. So the last one, 1990, was an absolute train wreck. But I tried to clean it up. It's like 2 hours of rambling. I'm not going to delete it or like re-record it. This is just stream of consciousness. So Sligo GAA, holy shit, who called that? What the fuck? We got some GAA. Yeah. What's up, Kit? Yeah, it is. Yeah, Black or White Gang reporting. So this is the deal. This is going to be a completely straight ahead, like right through the charts, and talk a little bit about the UK, which the UK and the US are sort of almost aligned right now chart wise. There's little outliers, a couple of them in the UK, but there's no great like massive gap, and not because we talked about What Time Is Love and 3 AM Eternal and all that shit. So we sort of covered the things that were divergent, you know, with Manchester and everything, and Spike Island last year. So what I wanted to talk about now is I'm tabling something really important that I could go for hours on because it was something I participated in, which is pop punk. Now, a lot of people think of pop punk and they think of Green Day's Dookie, which is like 94, 95. No, pop punk was like totally blowing up. The transition out of like gothy, semi-post-hardcore bands like, you know, Christ on Parade and all the shit out in Gilman, and here in New York, coming out of Revelation Records, hardcore stuff too, bands they were propping up. The early 90s is like when pop punk became like an idea. Like Kerplunk is going to come out, and the big one for me was Screeching Weasels, My Brain Hurts. And then that Brian Verman goes and does Sludgeworth, which were fucking awesome. Like I don't know if this is on Spotify, I think it is, but like the song You and I, oh my God. Anyway, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm going to do an entire stream on pop punk, basically like 89 to 95, because 90 is when Jawbreakers on Fun comes out, which was so huge. And the whole dialogue around this genre, people don't get it. Like it was happening before Nirvana, hugely during Nirvana. Fat Wreck Chords, like it was the most happening thing in like my 20s and in the early 90s. Nirvana was a mainstream thing. Millions and millions of people, their attitudes and what they did and everything was changed by Nirvana, no doubt. Pearl Jam, you know, huge. But I have already done a video about Kurt Cobain, basically about how he was like a junkie and full of shit most of the time. It's called The Exploding Boy. I did it 7 or 8 years ago, and it's still on YouTube. So like Brian Bombs or somebody has been uploading them forever, right? So if you want to know what I think about, if you want to know anything I think about grunge, you can go watch the Exploding Boy video on YouTube. It's still out there. There's 3 separate videos about shoegaze, so that's totally covered. If you care what I think about shoegaze, My Bloody Valentine, all that stuff, because it's the early 90s, go watch those 3 videos. But pop punk is something I've never talked about, and it was a massive part of my life for like years, and you know, tens of thousands of other kids too at this time, because it really came into its own at the exact same time as grunge was blowing up. And I was in a bunch of like pop punk bands and played with a lot of these acts. But I'm going to firewall that and get into all of that and the nuances of that in a Gap video before 92. Because January 92 is when Nevermind hits #1, and it's just over. Everything's changed forever. Like, you know, but 91 still has tons of, you know, as mentioned, Home Alone, Black or White, you know, Macaulay Culkin, early 90s. The big stuff is still Morrissey, The Cure, you know. And speaking of which, the Live at K-Rock EP comes out this year. It's only 3 songs, but it is so fucking important. Like this and Beethoven Was Deaf, his live album that comes out later. This is like the Your Arsenal band that's coming together. This is like his, you know, I did a podcast, which was supposed to be a video about Morrissey. So you can search on Spotify and whatever for that podcast about Morrissey. It doesn't sound that great. I mentioned in the last video, I recorded it out here with the wrong kind of mic, but you can piece it together. I did post edit it and put like, you know, some song transitions in it. It's a good listen, but the audio is a little reedy. Anyway, this is so good because it's that band, and it's Morrissey being a little bit, this is when he gets a little bit of machismo because he's overcorrecting, as I say in that podcast. He goes from, you know, mystery, allure, you know, with Viva Hate and weird sounds, and then he tightens it up and he does the whole like Piccadilly Polare 1990, you know, pre-Britpop stuff that was so important to Blur's development, and never gets called out. And so he gets this rock and roll band, like Gann and all these people get together and they're all wearing their denims and their big shit kicking boots, and you know, it's such a good look, and he goes off on it. So I would really like this version of My Love Life is one of my favorite cuts of all time. I still listen to it all the fucking time, like all the time. Yeah, it was the best band. Bosbor and these guys. I mean, it's so fucking good. And then you know, again, he gets in deep shit for the National Front Disco, and then goes and does this Retreat mellow record with Vauxhall and I, which is the peak of his career and sort of the end of his career. I hate November Spawned a Monster, yeah, oddly, but that was big. That was a big crossover in the US. Somebody mentioned this isn't on Spotify. I was bringing up how this is like the absolute pinnacle of you know, like good industrial pop. Like, you know, I love this fucking band so much. And this is on Geffen. I mean, you could probably get this for 30 cents. This on LP is so gorgeous. Like, I didn't pull any of my LPs because it's 90 degrees. We're in a huge heat wave here in New England, and like it literally would have melted. So I didn't do a lot of pulls for this one, and I'm not going down a lot of indie rabbit holes on this. I just want to go through 91 because it was very big. It was a very big year for me. And anybody who was a teenager at this time. You know, I'm like 15, 16, all around this time. Things are changing. It starts to feel different. You start to feel options that were never there in the 80s. Because if you have NXS, so you're kind of like, fine, this is music. And the idea of being underground in the mid and late 80s, especially the mid 80s, is so absurd. And you know, I always point back to this interview, which I wish in a way was still online, but obviously I made Pitchfork delete everything I ever did. I had interviewed Peter Prescott, who was so important, and I've mentioned in other streams of videos, the drummer from Mission of Burma. He was so important to me as a kid. He taught me so much about like what was really going on and what was, you know, what was real and what was fake. And you know, this is like they're playing to a couple hundred people in big cities still. This is not, you know, we've made the history a million times bigger than the reality because the music was so good and nobody heard it. And it's the Van Gogh thing. I always talk about the Radiant Child essay by Rene Ricard about how, you know, nobody wants to miss the Van Gogh boat. The society feels so guilty for the horrible life Vincent Van Gogh led that we're, you know, always, you know, reifying these things we missed out on. And all of this music was totally missed out on. Nobody was paying attention to it. A couple hundred kids every, you know, it's fucking ridiculous. The interview's online, great, you know, check it out. It's a really good interview. I was a bit younger. It was early days when they were reforming, because I got to go like chase them around during their reunion tour, similar to when Wire reunited in the early 2000s. I've talked about it a bunch of times. It was a great time. But then we talked in the last one about how I didn't like Bossa Nova. 91, Pixies was a very workman-like band. It was like year after year after year after year, album after album after album, the whole time they were together, 88, 89, 90, 91, 4 albums. You know, I mean, look, and it's just, I was out today driving around listening to Doolittle again. You know, it's a summer album for me. It was a big summer record that year. I think it was May when kids really started to get it in 89, when that blew up. That record did legitimately blow up and get like big REM college saturation. And TROMPE-LE-MAND, really, they were still killing it and big. And obviously there's this famous anecdote that Joey, the drummer, tells, David Lovering, excuse me, tells, where they got offered Nirvana as an opening act on this tour. And Lovering turned it down because he was like, they're the next thing. We can't do this. We'll get blown off stage. Like, we're not Nirvana. We're not young. We're not these kids. This is a different thing. And if we try and go on tour with Nirvana, we're dead. So what ended up happening, of course, is that Kim formed the Breeders, and then, you know, he loved them, and it was like it worked out. Black Francis is just a really different dude, and this band is not necessarily what people thought they were. A lot of people don't realize that they basically were working off a set of 35 songs he wrote in 1986 their entire career. And I mentioned in the last video for Bossa Nova that, you know, by that time they're already writing in the studio, which is like the mark of a band being fucking over. The second you're writing songs in the studio to fill up an album, you're done. I just want to do one last check. Does the audio sound really good? It fucking better. Because if it doesn't, then it's not going through this new lav mic, and I'm going to be fucking super pissed. But let me know. You know, and so before I get into the chart thing and actually start talking about stuff, this is a really, 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 really important record. And this is one of the records that is the reason I'm breaking this and doing this pop punk skate culture video. You know, after this, the next stream I do, whether it's next week or whatever, I'm going to probably pull a ton of shit, all my skate videos from the period, you know. This was in, you know, video days, was it video days? I can't remember, but like, there's like so many fucking skate videos I'm gonna have to go back and watch and check the soundtracks on. But this was so big. Like, there was, if you were already into the underground, and especially here, you know, around the Boston area, there was this big drama with Lou, you know, leaving Dinosaur Jr. and then breaking up. And Lou had like this big, you know, psychotic break, not really, but he just, you know, he did the Freed Man and wrote the Freed Pig, which the Breeders did an awesome cover along with that Guided by Voices cover. I've recommended Chakra and Gloomtown. The Breeders did such a good cover of Freed Pig. You know, it was like Lou was trying to get people to choose sides in him not being a Dinosaur Jr. anymore and say that Jay was like this, you know, egomaniac, whatever. And it just was not that big a deal, like, at all. But yeah, this band, we saw this band. I can't tell you, me and my best friend, we went and saw that. We saw that band like 12 times in 2 years. It was ridiculous. Between this and the next album, you know, Where You Been with Get Me. Oh God, Get Me is so good. We really did chase that band all around New England into New York. Like, we saw them an absurd amount of times. Like, we stole a plastic frog off Jay's amp, and like, it was our trophy because he had these green plastic frogs that would sit on top of his Marshall stacks. And then they had the Whatever's Cool With Me single with the double kick, which was so crazy. Like, double kick, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, double kick is absolutely fucking mental at that time. Anyone to do that. And Jay did it on Whatever's Cool With Me. It's great EP. And then obviously we did talk a lot about all this stuff last time, but Screamadelica is officially 91. And the Soup Dragons, I'm Free was mid-summer of 90. I think was the Soup Dragons broke out. In the Charlatans we talked about in the last video. So a lot of this stuff, the baggy stuff, it's a weird thing where like everyone gets crazy for one song and then baggy kind of like goes away in a way. It's not like the way we think of indie or any scene in America that has this continuity. Like Twee, I suppose, had that continuity in England. That continuity for baggy in Manchester isn't there because bands get money and spend money, and it's like, you know, it's like that joke Damien Hirst tells in Live Forever. He's like, you know, he's looking really great, he's really together, and the next minute it's like, oh, he's lost it. And that, you know, dance culture kind of has that problem. And so anyway, yeah, Soup Dragons, I still love the song Softly. If you get that stupid album Love God, or it's like 12 cents on CD, there's a great song that samples the Monkey's Head. It's a slow, like, halftime ballad, super great stoner kind of bliss out ballad called Softly. I still rock that to this day. I've put it on a bunch of shit. But anyway, yeah, so before we go into the charts, I just want to talk about, you know, what was seriously by far the biggest thing, U2's Octung Baby. I still, when I hear songs from this record, go right back to my bedroom, you know, when I'm 16, I think I was when this came out. All through that fall and winter, this and Nevermind in 1991 were just, and, you know, even Violator was still, because that had singles for months and months. Violator, I think 6 singles or something ridiculous. And we talked about all of them in 90, obviously, but this record is so amazing, and it's so fucking long. There's 12 songs on this, but they're all like 5-minute long jams, and they're still really good. Like, they totally lived up to the whole, you know, Eno, Berlin bullshit Bowie trip they were trying to go on. I give them so much goddamn credit for this album. Zoo Station, just the opening track, the sonics on that, man, fucking just, this album fucks. Mysterious Ways is so cruel, dude. Being in Dublin, shit-faced after a wedding where I just totally embarrassed myself, listening to So Cruel and listening to the entire fucking pub scream along to it. Yeah, this record is just unstoppably, incredibly massive and important and enduring. It still sounds so goddamn fresh. I mean, The Fly sort of doesn't work, and Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses? I think that's probably aged maybe the worst. Love Is Blindness is a little hoary, and Bono's on his 4th bottle of red, you know, singing to himself in the mirror. I don't want to see. I mean, it's a little much, but yeah, Ultraviolet, man. Whoo, Until the End of the World. Just, I mean, One is one of the best ballads, certainly the best ballad they ever did. Whoo. It's funny, the idea that you're like recommending. Yes, I am wearing a GAA jersey. Sligo. So yeah, that was huge. It's funny though, I mentioned U2. What I didn't mention in '90, which was one of those weird novelty hits that no one in America probably knows, is the Chimes, the Scottish band that got this incredible R&B singer. Her name, I thought her name was like Pauline or Paula Hurley or excuse me, I don't remember everything off the top of my head. They did a cover of I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For in like that Soul to Soul style, because Soul to Soul were so big that like a bunch of UK bands got signed the fuck up because it was like, this is the new thing. This like cool, you know, Jamaican British dub Be Good to Me, you know, Beats International. I love that 12-inch. That was my actual 12-inch. The remix one I bought much later, but you know, these songs, this was like a new demographic, let's say. It was a new audience, and you know, British English record labels totally jumped on that. And this band, the Chimes, had a pretty big hit with this cover of I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, with like I said, soul to soul backbeat kind of a thing. She actually ended up being basically a covers artist. Whoever the singer is, if you Google it up, I think she covered Love Hangover, and then I think she covered Feel Like Making Love by Bad Company. Really weird. Really weird. So 91, like I say, it's not over until 92. 92 is when mainstream culture changes, meaning the record industry changes, because they know the audience tastes have totally rolled over in a generational way, both with hip hop, aka gangster rap, and grunge. And so everything changes. But this whole period I keep banging on about, REM blows up this year with Out of Time, and specifically Losing My Religion, which, if you were 15, 16 when Losing My Religion came out, I talked about how Nothing Compares to You essentially had like its own button on MTV and VH1. It was just like, okay, it's Nothing Compares to You o'clock. Losing My Religion o'clock was definitely a fucking thing. Like, that's the saturation on that song. Oh my God, that shit was on a fucking loop on MTV. Like, because MTV started thinking about itself being worthy in a way. It's super fucking weird, but like, they started thinking about like Madonna's Like a Prayer. They started thinking about themselves as like having a social conscience for the first time, versus like Spin, let's say, who had done AIDS reportage and stuff way early on. MTV didn't take itself seriously. It was remote control. It was a joke. Adam Curry and his giant hair. I mean, that guy's actually a fucking genius. He's such a fucking brilliant guy. Anyway, MTV doesn't start to think about these things, let's say, until the Public Enemy stuff happens. And now all of a sudden it's this social consciousness thing, Rock the Vote, all of this stuff is very different. Because of the first 5 years, it's like getting, I want my MTV, getting, you know, a demographic, getting a market share. Now they've got that market share and they've got this huge audience internationally. What are they going to do with it? And it's the same thing that happens every time. They're going to, you know, motivate a young liberal base and get them out there screaming and stomping and whatever. Yeah, Tarsum Singh actually he was one of the first breakthrough video directors that like got movie deals out of like, you know, his videos, and then that became like a thing. But yeah, The Real World, I talked about that. Yeah, Bunham Murray's Real World changed everything, and I think that's this year, or maybe it's 92, I don't remember. But the original New York Real World, every one of us watched every episode of that nonstop. I still remember Kevin, Julie, and the Norm, and then like the indie girl that was like going to be a singer. She was like super cute. Yeah, I remember that whole shit. I mean, the first 4 or 5 years of that show, I've probably talked about this in another stream. First 4 or 5 years of that show were fucking great. I mean, if you were young, if you were the same demographic or younger than it was really cool playback of like, this is, you know, fresh versus fucking sitcoms and Full House and, you know, yeah, Beavis and Butthead sucked. I mean, Beavis and Butthead was for like 10-year-olds. No one fucking watched that. That was for little kids. I mean, yeah, I'm sure stoners probably watched it, but I hated Beavis and Butthead. That shit never landed for me at all. That was not my scene. So 91, January, you know, again, we've already talked about all these albums. Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em, To the Extreme, the Immaculate Collection, Madonna's Comp comes out. It's huge. The Simpsons Sing the Blues. Oh my God. There was a novelty Bart Simpson song driving that. I can't remember what it is and I don't care. Anyway, this is where, yeah, there's Bette Midler. God, what was that horrible movie? Wasn't Spalding Gray in it? I don't know. There's so much bad in 90 and 91 still, but because all the good is not getting mainstream servicing, yeah, do the Bartman. That was legit moving product. Like units moved from Do the Bartman. What the fuck? Come on. And then The Bodyguard is going to come up here too. And Mariah Carey, which I mostly talked about in the last video. Mariah Carey blows up. #1. I mean, it goes Madonna's Immaculate Collection to Mariah Carey's #1 for 1, 2, 3. It's 2 months. 2 months until REM's Out of Time finally blows it off the charts in May. And I do associate Losing My Religion with, you know, the summer and warm weather. But it's also the time of Gonna Make You Sweat. So again, this is a big thing, and I've talked about this a lot. Yeah, do the Bartman's 90? Okay, well, the record wasn't. The record charts in 91. I don't know. This is important to figure out. The weird thing is that I mentioned this in one of the old YouTube videos, but it's an important point. This is the point in time where CDs are now established as the dominant medium. And what it means is record companies are making twice as much. There's no justifiable reason that a CD costs twice as much as a tape. Zero. It's actually cheaper to produce. Like, it's complete bullshit, and they totally got away with it for a decade plus. And what starts happening is there's no, like, certain artists, the way they do it is like, we don't make as much money on singles, so let's kind of forget the singles market. That doesn't happen obviously in the UK. It only gets worse and worse and worse with like 15 limited edition singles of every single, just to have everybody buy everything 10 times. But in the US, what starts to happen is the expectation is that an album has 2 good songs. If it has 2 good songs, they'll buy the CD. It's $15 to play with. I mean, it's really crazy. And it's terrible. I mean, I remember this, and it's not like the indie labels or indie bands weren't guilty of this. They fucking totally were. You know, the expectation in the studio was no longer, we need to make Thriller, we need to make Def Leppard's Hysteria. It was, stuff's turning over too fast. Bang this shit out. See if it sticks. And that mentality of disposable, you know, material issue, Diane, the wonder stuff, give me more. They were taking a punt on anything. They'd sign anybody for one album. Who gives a crap? They didn't give the bands any money. I mean, you can go read Steve Albini's The Problem with Music, blah, blah, blah. But it's, you know, it's all this stuff. It's the tragically hip. It's, who cares? We'll just throw it out there, and if it sticks, it sticks. So that's the major label attitude. And of course, it completely screws over bands that go down that road, because there is this big thing about selling out and whatever. And that's what I'm going to really get into probably more in the pop punk stream after this. So, you know, when I mentioned 1 or 2 good songs, the reason I said that is I saw Gonna Make You Sweat by CNC Music Factory, which barely had 2 songs on it, and was huge. And oh, that was a really unexpected one. God, that was big. Queensryche's Empire, man, Silent Lucidity. That was one. That's the good. That is like arch Guitar Center core, like Dream Theater and Queensryche. This is like Guitar Center core, big time. Silent Lucidity. You go into. I mean, I remember going to get drumsticks. Every time you'd go in there, I mean, you'd hear somebody playing that fucking riff. It took over Zeppelin as like the do not play this riff, you know, ridiculous fucking thing everybody learned. Fucking Silent Lucidity. God, that, I mean, really heavy rotation on MTV with that shit. I just remember that dude just sitting there like with his long ass hair and like, you know, the water sparkling in the background, the big bronze light, you know. God, that shit was great. And New Jack City. So I mean, I don't know, I've talked and dinked and dunked here and there about, you know, Crossover, that song, and about how New Jack was this big sellout issue in hip hop. And New Jack Swing, Prince did it. Lots of people did it. It was a way to get like a little bit of the R&B crowd and not totally isolate with, you know, hardcore, you know, gangster rap, whatever you want to call it. like Onyx, you know, and the stuff that's in Naughty by Nature that's going to come out. You know, the popular sort of expression of like, yeah, I don't want to say hood, but you know what I mean. It's like street culture. It's representing for that. It's the way you dress. It's your attitude. It's all that. And New Jack was a way to kind of have your cake and eat it too, because this was sort of R&B. New Jack Swing was kind of like R&B, and it was stylish in that R&B way. Like you could dress nice, and there was the zoot suits. You know, that's a joke in a bunch. But yeah, it's so far from anybody's radar today. Like there should be a good, like we've done 50 Italo disco comps. Can we do a good like New Jack Swing comp? Who gives a shit? I mean, it was making money for 10 minutes. But it was really like Trust Us Jones and CB4 is 100% about New Jack Swing. Like that shit was just like, can you sell out a little bit where you can make more money? And you know, like serious acts like Gangstar, EPMD, and all these bands, like they ranted and raved about how you know, they felt like their culture, this music was part of their culture, is being appropriated and squashed. CB4 is good, but everybody knows that. That's not like, it's not like Ski School from the last video where I'm like, everyone's forgotten about it. CB4 is great. But I can't stand Chris Elliott. He's so annoying. So, but he's barely in it, so who cares? We mentioned before about the Doors soundtrack, the Doors movie. I mean, Val Kilmer, you know, Val Kilmer really occupied that role in a way that's pretty legit. But it's tough to sit through. It's Meg Ryan, right, that plays his girlfriend. It's just one of the worst casting decisions ever. She's got like this bad fake ginger wig. Oh, it's bad. Oof, that movie is a rough rewatch. I don't encourage investing the time in that. Anyway, Enigma. So this was weird for sure. I did talk in the last one about the explosion of Black Crows, and they you know, again, they allowed themselves to get marketed by the label. They allowed themselves to be, you know, kind of boxed in, and then they took all the profit and success from that, and they went their own way. That was a great story for rock, you know, in a way. But Enigma came out of nowhere, for sure, with a gimmick. You know, let's put the same, you know, it's not PM Dawn yet. PM Dawn happens, I think, a bit later. But it's like, let's put that, this happens a million times. Like PM Dawn took, you know, True by Spandau Ballet and put it on the Milli Vanilli beat. And Enigma took Gregorian Chants and put it on, you know, it's just silly. The Milli Vanilli beat was really everywhere. And this was such bad gimmickry. And I mean, look, you can sort of say the KLF were just better at it because they were more maniacal, you know, like music historians, and they were in their mid-30s, obviously. But yeah, a lot of gimmicky bands were just like, let's try that. And listen, when I say that, to me, Enigma really justified themselves when they came back and did Return to Innocence, which, I mean, forget, you know, standing in a phone booth outside, whatever, with Pocket Change. What is that band? That fake-ass studio project band that did that one. There's another one of those novelty loop songs. Return to Innocence is like a legit, eternal, great song. And Enigma, for me, gets full credit for that. I don't give them a ton of credit for this debut, MCMX, whatever. It's just, it's so corny. I mean, you even got a Gregorian monk on the cover. Come on, guys, like a little more, you know, finesse in your shit. Yeah, Primitive Radio Gods, that was another one of those fucking gimmick ass things. And I mean, fine. He predicted Moby, let's say. Maybe he predicted Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover in some of the ways he did that. But you know, anyway, Sadness is good. You're right. Sadness it's good, but it was just a very omnipresent. And someone else mentioned Enya in the chat. Like, yeah, Enya was big shit. Like Cerulean Blue, Orinoco Flow, whatever, all those big hits. I've got that tape actually in the basement. But again, Rod Stewart, Michael Bolton, Skid Row, Slave to the Grind, and Van Halen's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Wow, they really got that one over on everybody. But it's Van Halen, so yeah, they're going to get allowed to make an album called Fuck. Yeah, and that, I mean, oh my God, I haven't thought about this in so long, this album. It's such a ridiculously, isn't like, hold on, I have to double check the track list. Yeah, so don't they say, don't like Van Halen fans say like Pound Cake is really good? Do they still like play that shit at every show and whatever? But yeah, right now, I mean, God in heaven, I can't explain to you. It changed advertising forever. The video for right now, it literally changed commercial advertising like the world over. Everyone ripped off this video. And it was just like, I don't know. You got to give it to Eddie Van Halen. That lick just sounds really cinematic, really dramatic. It's really, recyclable, eternal. It still feels like something's going on, like it's, it's so cinematic, and the drum production on that record is actually fucking banging. Not that I can stand listening to any of it, but the video was it was fucking groundbreaking. It was so crazy, and it was a big moment. And I do think back to REM's Losing My Religion and all these signature videos at this time. This is excuse me, the heat's giving me hiccups. I didn't bring my water out. Moron. I'm killing ants. It is so hot here. So Cooling at the Playground, ABC. Yep, that's in here. But this is an important point to mention. In June, Garth Brooks' No Fences charts. This is before. So I wrote this huge article. You got to just Google my name and SoundScan. Just like Google Chris Ott SoundScan. It's still on Medium. It's on my Substack. This is one of the biggest articles I ever wrote. It's about when Billboard realized, like, holy shit, we're screwed. The technology that SoundScan came up with is so perfect. We're done. We have to adopt it. So like 6 weeks after they launched SoundScan, Billboard was like, yep, okay, we're done. We're not calling record stores anymore. This shit's not working anymore. Because A, it was not a good reflection of what was actually happening, which doesn't help them, actually. It hurts them to not know what's really going on. For them to control and ship records that kids don't actually like is actually really expensive. It's way easier to know what's actually going on the second it's selling and change your A&R accordingly. And the most famous examples of this are Nirvana's Nevermind, which in January of '92 overtakes Michael Jackson's Dangerous because returns start getting counted against outstanding chart sales. So the ability to bullshit the charts, while it certainly doesn't end, it changes. And there's a really strong gap where country, the importance of like rock, middle of the road country rock, is totally unserviced by mainstream America. Changes instantly with Garth Brooks and No Fences. This is summer of '91. The uppercut is Nirvana's Nevermind, but it just it takes until deep in this summer and fall when Smells Like Teen Spirit happens before people really see, like, wow. Because I mean, I would say for me, when you look at the chart in May, when this all happens, it's like Out of Time, Mariah Carey, CNC Music Factory. These are things that are actually popular. But then No Fences comes in, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And then 3 weeks later, the #1 album in the country is NWA's Evil Vorzagen. Like, #1. It only took 2 weeks to go to #1. And I may be wrong about this, but as I recall, that NWA album was the one where the entire record industry was like, whoa. Because, I mean, Express Yourself was on that, right? Because that was when they basically, you can't call NWA sellouts, but like Express Yourself was a full-on, like, complete about face in terms of their message, in terms of what they sang about, in terms of how, it's a great fucking song, but it's like it's a pretty soft song. It's very listenable in a way that nothing on the first album is, obviously. So yeah, I mean, if someone in the chat can just tell me Express Yourself was on Evil Force, I think it was. That's why it was a big hit, because they had a massive hit single that was completely anodyne and just cut all their, this is the one with Always Into Something. So Express Yourself was after this? That's my mistake. Anyway, I thought it was coordinated with this, but hey, I'm wrong all the time. Cooley High Harmony, Boys to Men, and woo. Oh, that was big. And yeah, so it's not just Garth Brooks, it's also Bonnie Raitt, Luck of the Draw. That was big stuff. Yeah, that was huge, man. So again, the album charts, as you go through them here, it's, oh God, the Robin Hood soundtrack. Oh boy. Stewart, Sting, Adams, ass. Adam, Stewart, Sting, ass. All for love. My God, this was so huge. I think it was an in-between single. Yeah, whatever. Oh, the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves soundtrack. Totally sold by that song. I talked about this song. Again, we're going through territory I covered with Sean Collins on a podcast a long time ago. Please look that one up. It's called Not Your 90s, YR. We talk about kind of the reality of growing up as teenagers. We're only a few years apart during this period. And we go in big on All for Love, because the snare drum, if you just go listen to this when we're done with this or whatever, like the snare drum on All for Love is ungodly. Nothing is produced like this anymore, or has been since. I don't even know, and I have pretty extensive studio experience. I cannot, honest to God, figure out how they carved out so much goddamn space for the snare drum in that recording. It's emotional. So the big thing I remember about this fall is, like, we're all listening to Nirvana. We've all got Nevermind. Drain You is just like, everyone's fucking blaring that. It's like, holy shit. Like, underground punk style rock, Pixies can sound this good, which isn't to say the Pixies sounded bad, but this is like, I mean, Kurt, everybody was nervous about how overproduced Nevermind was. It's absurdly overproduced. And I mean, when you listen to it now, it's just like, good Jesus, man. Like, is there really this much room, in stereo space to create this like lunacy? It's pretty crazy. Going back, there's 3 or 4 songs I still love on Nevermind, but it's Out of Time is kind of like the old. REM is like, they're old, and they come around with Drive, and they come around with Night Swimming, and they come around with some really incredible, beautiful stuff. Man on the Moon's a good single, man. Sweetness Follows, they still had great stuff happening, but it was like, they're elder statesmen, obviously, by this point, so they're not really it. And Metallica comes out. And I just remember going to parties at kids' houses, and it was just like front to back Metallica the whole fucking night, all fucking night. Like, they weren't even listening to the Razor's Edge, because AC/DC was like not cool. I mean, Razor's Edge has the historical referendum on Razor's Edge is pretty solid, for sure now. But at the time, it was like, they were so, like, that was just so bad. 80s has to die. You're in the 90s now, right? So, it charted consistently. It dives in and out of the charts a lot, AC/DC. And, good for them. There's some enduring shit. But I just remember that Metallica, when that came out, it was instantly #1, right when school started. It was like because that used to be a big thing in America, obviously. When you're going back to school, you're a major label. You want to get an album out to be the soundtrack of going back to school, because now somebody got hot over the summer or whatever, and you got a crush on them. And this is cuffing season. So, like, you got to get the soundtrack to cuffing season, which I talk about in the Shoegaze video. For me, I'm out there, like, making girls tapes with, like, Vapor Trail and Here Knows When and fucking pictures of you and shit. And then, like, everyone else is like, Silent Lucidity and I'm so blanking, the big ballad on here. Klosterman, I fucking hate Chuck Klosterman. Why are you talking to me about this asshole? The world changed when he saw sorority girls sing Enter Sandman. Well, he needed to fucking get out more. This record was a saturation point that was pretty massive. That whole fall and winter was just crazy. You got to understand. So that's out for a month. What comes out October 5th? Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. The saturation of Metallica and Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 cannot be related. I can't relay this to kids today. I cannot, like, explain to you how absolutely the oppressive. And then Terminator 2 comes out, and it's just like, this whole period is still so fresh in my mind. You really had a different mainstream kind of rock culture coming at you. Don't Cry is such a good song, man. And it was so cool that he put the dude from Blind Melon that died in the video. That was a super fucking cool move. Gave him a career, man. Blind Melon wouldn't be doing shit if that dude wasn't in the Don't Cry video. And those are still just great records to interrogate. Both 1 and 2 they're very different. November Rain is so fucking good. Such a good song. I mean, I mean, I'm not into Civil War. There's some songs I don't think are that great. You Can Be Mine's great though. That's fucking still there. Yeah, More Than Words, Extreme, Pornography. That was a big record. Color Me Bad was that summer. Color Me Bad. I wanna sex you up. But then it's funny, they had like sex, I Wanna Sex You Up, and then they had like the next single was like, We Don't Have to Have Sex. Like the next single was totally for tweens and like super like anodyne and neutral and not salacious. The best thing about Color Me Bad was the fake PM George Michael dude, the like poor man's George Michael that's got like this giant round head and like the most ridiculous manscaped. We didn't have that word then. Manscaped fucking beard and like this hair that it's like a Jennifer. It's like he like front ran Jen Aniston's whole shit. This guy in Color Me Bad. You gotta fucking check it out. And there's a video too where he's like in the big move at this time was shirtless with a vest. That was your shit. New Jack Swing, shirtless with a vest, man. That shit was on point. Everybody was dropping, and it had to be like you wanted like either a paisley or like a mauve purple kind of pattern with a black back, sheer back. You were getting in there. That was the shit. You needed that fucking look. If you could rock that, go look at, dude, oh my God, go watch the Christian Hosoi documentary evidence of exactly what I'm talking about. Like watch the Christian Hosoi video, Rising Sun. Fucking period footage of that dude, 90, 91, full on no shirt vest, walking into like the Viper room and shit. Like it is amazing. Gerardo, Rico Suave. Good shit. I wish I could pull that off. I would shave my chest if I got skinny enough that I could pull that off. Can you imagine being the dude, the dad that brings that shit back? Be like E-boy style. It's out there. Somebody get on it. Get your flex. Get your shirtless vest going. Apocalypse 91, Enemy Strikes Back. And then Motley Crue gives up and puts out their greatest hits. So really the big one is Rope in the Wind, because No Fences has been blown up. But Garth, this is the fall when it's like we're in full SoundScan mode. Number one, Rope in the Wind, Garth Brooks, bangs in there. And No Fences is also in the top 10. This has like never happened if you go back in the Billboard charts. You got to go back to like the 60s and 70s, like Chris Christopherson era, to have two country albums by the same artist in the top 10. Totally fucking mental. Does the Crash Test Dummies guy do that too? It's a fucking strong look. It's a strong look. It's just language. You go on Depop. Like I'm sure on Depop right now as we speak, people are listing vests like that. You know, just because all the people you're connected to out there that you're talking about this to, viral, dude. We go viral. It starts here. Grailed. Yep. Grailed's just gonna be nothing but 90s vests. Yeah, Bryan Adams got the kick from the Robin Hood soundtrack. Diamonds and Pearls. Oh God, I didn't bring it. I have the cassette of Diamonds and Pearls with the hologram cover. It's in the basement. I've shown it on another video. I think I showed it. In one of the early Shallow Awards Discord streams. Yeah, Decade of Decadence is where they cover Anarchy in the UK, right? That's one of the worst covers of all time. Vince Neil saying Anarchy in the UK hurt my soul at like 16. That is one of the most misplaced, just wrong-headed whiffs. I mean, wow, that shit was just terrible. And then we get Too Legit to Quit. Yeah, Anarchy in the USA. Oh my God. It's even worse. You're right. They changed it to USA, didn't they? Can you imagine how much coke you would have to mainline to be like Anarchy in the USA? You can make it ours. Like, not saying these guys didn't love the Sex Pistols. I'm sure they did back when they were a strip band. But man, that's one I never ever need to hear again. Oh. Yeah, so Nevermind finally does start charting. People don't realize like Nevermind is a chart record, but it's really dependent on like people hearing successive singles to be like, okay, I thought this was a joke. I thought this was Ugly Kid Joe. I thought Smells Like Teen Spirit was Ugly Kid Joe. That's what most kids thought. They thought they were like Green Jelly. Ugly Kid Joe. Everything, I hate everything about you. Like Smells Like Teen Spirit for the majority of people who heard it. Like kids like me, we're buying the CD and we're hearing all of it. And we're like, this fucking album, unstoppable. There's not a bad song on it, kind of thing. But like radio listeners, Smells Like Teen Spirit, it's a good song. I remember, I like that song. Then they hear another song by them and they're like, oh shit. So it takes 2 or 3 singles. It really is Come As You Are and In Bloom, where you convince the general record buying population that like this thing's worth a punt, like get it. So my point is, it's not like Rope in the Wind by Garth Brooks. It's not like Use Your Illusion, where it's an established band that absolutely blows up and comes smacks in at #1. Never mind charts in the low top 10s in November, and then it falls out, and then it comes up again, and then it falls out, and then it falls down. It's at 3, it's at 6. Michael Jackson's Dangerous comes out. There's this, you can feel the tension in the charts of the changeover in the record industry, and it's kind of cool in that way because you felt it at the time for sure. Like we knew, you knew when Extreme came out that it was like, this is way behind the times. Like you knew something new was about to go. But again, the next video I do will be totally dedicated to the real underground stuff in America, like pop punk that I was in on, because we sort of did. Unfortunate that the audio sucks, but you know, Baggy, I kind of said what there is to say. There's multiple movies about this. Like I don't need to go that crazy. I don't blame the radio market either. I mean, that's what they do. You know, they want to, woo me, make me like your record. It's I need a couple singles before I'm going to go there. What else we got? So I did mention in the 90 video, Poison Something to Believe In. I think it's a good song. It's a good song. They were not able to do successfully to transition like their image. I mean, this isn't the one where they were like beards and bandanas. I don't think yet. I think it's the one after this in 93 when it's called like Native Tongue or something, right? That's when they really tried to be like, no, man, we're down with people. Something to Believe In is still like full on fucking arena rock, boom. Yeah, and Adrenalize comes out. I did a whole podcast, if you're not aware of, on Def Leppard's, not on Adrenalize, on their totally fucked up, bizarre, indulgent Our Career's Over album, Slang. I'm so proud of that podcast, I'm not gonna lie. Like, not because I'm like some massive Def Leppard fan, but Slang is like, it's such a fucking interesting record. Like I really do legitimately, if you have a general interest in music, I super fucking stand for that record as a curio. And really, like I spent a lot of time on that podcast, and I'm really proud of that one. But yeah, weird stuff is still happening. We talked about Candy, Iggy Pop, that's in there. It's in the mid, it's at 50 in January, and I'm at the Hot 100 now, the singles. Candy, man, that was good. But Groove Is on the Heart, we talked about that too. Like these are, you're getting one-offs. You're getting one-offs. You're not getting massive cultural shift yet. So anyway, white hat. This is not a white hat. You got to get UNC Cox. You got to get the Gamecocks hat. Yeah, I've been using these books. This is what I do when I do these. I have the albums one and the 2 reference ones. Joel Whitburn, baby. Come on, this is the guy that wrote it all down for us. We all use them. This was the one I didn't talk about though, which is next to Poison, Something to Believe In. Nelson, man. The dudes in Nelson, After the Rain, the twins with like this platinum blonde hair down to their ass, man. Nelson's, are you serious? Did I talk about Loveless? I did 3 full videos about shoegaze 8 years ago. Look them up. God, how does the Outfield chart? I totally don't even know about this. The Outfield charted at 24 for You. The song For You. I couldn't even tell you what that sounds like. I can tell you what Two in a Room's Wiggle It sounds like. Just a little bit. Oh my God, man. Two in a Room, Wiggle It. That's a fucking, that's some good shit. You can still bang that. That should be played. Go out on your fucking, anybody who's doing these virtual streaming DJ nights and shit, wiggle it. Just get that shit on there. Play that shit. That will go off. Nobody's listening to that shit. And go back and play old Debbie Gibson too, man. Fucking Electric Youth. Only in My Dreams. Only in My Dreams. Just play that on loop, man. Somebody do a fucking like chillwave shoegazy cover of Only in My Dreams. I've been waiting. I've been trying to tell you guys. Come on. What else do we got? Yeah, and like Styx. Show Me the Way. Styx gets on the charts. Yeah, the Outfield. I mean, this is just like, yeah, it's 8 years ago. It was 8 years ago. Yeah, I did. It's crazy. I'm like, this shit's still on the internet. Like, and I've told you a million times, a couple of those videos, man, fuck, it's so embarrassing they're still out there because I was just in such a weird place. Most of it's fine. But, yeah, so like I was saying, Depeche Mode, World in My Eyes is charting now. We're 91. That record charted 6 singles over the course of like 18 months. Huge fucking tour. And then Cherry Pie, Warrant. We talked about that extensively. Oof. Oh, ugly, ugly, ugly. We went through most of this stuff, so that's good. Joey, Concrete Blonde, number 100. That was toward the end of the last video. But I you know, it was a very important song at a very important time. This is the pump up the volume thing. I mean, the Discord that I had, we did movie nights where we would watch movies like for fun during, this is all lockdown shit we were doing at the beginning. And one of the ones I was like stumping, like, if you have not seen Pump Up the Volume, this was a truly, truly important movie for teenagers in 1990. Like, Christian Slater was the hottest shit going, and the soundtrack had the Pixies, Concrete Blonde, like, it had a unique version of Wave of Mutilation, the UK surf version. There was nowhere else you could get it, although there was a single that you could get for the later, relatively short after that, the Pixie single, they stuck it on there. Pump Up the Volume is hugely important. Anyway, that vibe, this whole thing, there's so much real vibe to life before Nirvana that is impossible to explain. But you can immerse yourself in it. You can watch Pump Up the Volume, you can watch Ski School, you can listen to these songs, you can, hear EMF's Unbelievable and just think like, okay, all of this is happening and Nirvana does not exist. No one's heard Bleach. This is a totally underground thing. Touring bands are hearing Bleach and opening for Nirvana and getting word of mouth like, this band's fucking crazy. Holy shit. Like, these things are happening in the way that they happen now. They're viral, they're social networking. It's like I talked about in one of the shoegaze videos, K Records is a Discord, K Records, they did records together. Discord and K and all this stuff. These are communities that are forming, much in the way you think of early punk, in the US on the West Coast, the Germs obviously have a song called Forming. These are cults. They're cults that are trying to get themselves out there and see how big they can get. There's no one supporting them. Nirvana changes that, and you get support behind a big ass band that's like got the same messaging. Like Kurt Cobain's out there writing essays about how he heard a story about Polly and this is an anti-rape song, and wearing dresses and challenging, going to Headbangers Ball and like challenging macho culture, being essentially an ally, as we call him today, for so many different things, LGBT type stuff. It's so different before this. It's all fashion, it's all trends, it's all novelty, and there's just so much of it. And it's Parker Lewis Can't Lose too, go see that on YouTube. All these different things, it's like trying to reflect this big churning, there's so many different things happening at once. I've said it in the last few videos, there's so many options for you, and they're so mature, and they're just at a smaller scale. The International Pop Underground Convention, that's going in the pop punk thing, totally. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that today. All the underground stuff, because it was so much bigger by the time Nirvana it was really fortuitous. Nirvana happens when it happens, in the popular consciousness way, fall of '91 and winter of '92, because the Beat Happening is just about to be over, and like Youth of Today breaks up in '90, and Jawbreaker comes together, and Gilman Street and Berkeley and Sam I Am and all these like incredible bands. It's such a good story, but it would be its own 2-hour thing. And apparently you shouldn't go 2 hours, because I lost like 8 minutes on the front side of my video last time because I went over 2 hours. I guess that's a cutoff. So we're gonna have to watch that clock. I mean, yeah, it's Tony. It never rains in Southern California. These are like good jams. These are like party jams, BBD, I thought it was me. But then you have Trickster. Give it to me good, Trickster. Shelter Me, Cinderella. God damn, man. Stranded by Heart. I mean, all these ballads are still there. That's the first thing to me. Like, when I think of what Nirvana killed, it's not like Nirvana killed hair metal per se, but they destroyed ballad culture. Like, ballad culture had such a run from like Sister Christian and I always say my favorite, of all the hair metal ballads ever is Nobody's Fool by Cinderella. But, far from Home Sweet Home and Long Cold Winter, like the ballad thing that's been like the moneymaker, because those are the slow dance songs. So like it's got a utility to it the heavy metal ballad. And if it's got a guitar solo, then it's not, you know, Word I Can't Say, but it was super common back then. Yeah, High Enough, Damn Yankees, number 3, dude. Number 3, Damn Yankees. January 91. I mean, these are big. Is that a song name? Yeah, no, it is fully. Tony was big. It is Bringing On the, you're actually right. And I was listening to Bringing On the Heartbreak in the car, not even last week, and I realized I was not keeping that front of mind enough. It is a pretty bad ripoff of Bringing On the Heartbreak, because Bringing On the Heartbreak was a technically revolutionary song. All that vocal harmonizing, nobody heard that before. So like everybody was clocking that, and it was very much that thing of you go into the studio and it's like, okay, well, what's hitting right now? What's big? You kind of, most bands, you know, historically, that's what you do. You poach it, you know? But yeah, he's such a good singer. I don't give a shit. He's one of the best technical singers ever in hair metal. Come on. You know, Joe Elliott didn't have the fucking pipes he had, not even close. Come on, get real. Then, you know, Tom's Diner comes, it had already blown up in the UK. Tom's Diner comes over here. DNA, again, the goddamn Milli Vanilli, whatever, backbeat, soul to soul. You know, Technotronic. Everyone's got this goddamn song. This sound was really pumping. And Kathy Dennis, Just Another Dream, is in here at the same time. But you know, we're still in the territory that we were in '90 when I'm saying like, this is bad. Most of this music is fucking terrible. It's not enduring. No one listens to it anymore. People like, when's the last time anyone played In Excess's Disappear? You know, weird album, weird time for them, but you know, it just doesn't. Oh, is it touching? Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn how to cite this bad boy now. It's a whole new deal. I guess I probably shouldn't have it touching my actual throat if I can help it. Well, whatever. You know, I'll figure it out. But you know, Ralph Treatment's. Oh my God, Sensitivity. Oh, that's rough. That's one I will not be able to deal with. How would this even work? I'm gonna have a suboptimal double chin because I shaved and went for a jog today, so my skin's gonna be popping over. Old man skin. Get ready for it. Warrants. I saw red. Oh my God. But yeah, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey. This thing is driving me crazy. Sensitivity. Like, you're getting excited about Sensitivity? I don't know. I mean, it's Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis. So I mean, how do you even credit? How do you even credit? You know, Ralphie on that one. I don't know. They weren't. It's not like they're at number 1 with Love Will Never Do Without You. They're at number 5 with Sensitivity. They've got to have something else in here too. I mean, the Hot 100. I don't know if Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis leave it from what 85 to 92. Like they have a song in the Hot 100. It's fucking ridiculous. They're so good, and they were so evolutionary with it. I think that's really important too. Like they were evolutionary. They were revolutionary initially, and then they were evolutionary as the years went on. I mean, they did Human League. Like, what the fuck? They templated so many cool moves, but they didn't just rest on those laurels because, you know, Rhythm Nation and all this other stuff is just crazy. Oh, I missed Justify My Love, Lenny Kravitz and Madonna. Do people know that? Well, that should blow some minds. And what else do we got here? I don't want to get stuck. Oh, I'm still stuck in January. I'm going to have to speed this up. Oh, God. This is one I do not remember at all, and I'm going to have to look it up. The First Time by Surface. I'm going to listen to it after the stream. I do not remember this at all. I can't remember it. What was that? This is number 1 for like 2 weeks before CNC Music Factory blow up. Huh. I'll have to look that up. What else do we got? 2NU. Oh man, they had a couple of weird ones bubble up. 2NU's This Is Ponderous, and then they also had what was the other one? They had one way before. This Is Ponderous was like I don't know. It's weird. It's another one of those ones where it kind of goes up and down, but that's when you should go. Things that make you go, yeah. That was big shit. Play that funky music, some Vanilla Ice. That's really where it got horrible. Oh, it's so bad. Around the Way Girl. LL. This was before Mama Said Knock You Out. Around the Way Girl. Surprisingly, it was in the winter too. Huge hit. Oh, that was a good hit. Good jam. And this is when Freedom, George Michael, is like low in the charts. This all reminds me of this winter. I talked about that before. It's because it's, the end of 90, beginning of 91. I'll Be By Your Side, Stevie B. Stevie B still just, you got to give Stevie Vest in the Ocean. Best in the Ocean, black and white, best in the ocean, black and white, best in the ocean. Stevie B. Come on. Somebody start wearing it. Start doing it. L.A. Reid and Babyface start their whole domination with Pebbles. Yeah. Love Makes Things Happen. So, yeah, Babyface comes in through writing initially, but then it's just like unstoppable. Rico Suave is right here coming up. Poison's Ride the Wind. That's some desperately bad shit. Well, we haven't, there's a big ballad coming up, a big R&B ballad coming up. But we're not there yet. Oh man, Father MC, I'll Do For You. Oh man, these are ones I'm gonna have to go listen to again. So Sting, the Soul Cage just comes out. This was big. My best friend, I was a Cure kid. My best friend was a Sting Police guy when we were little kids, and so he was hanging on with Sting. All This Time is a great fucking song. Soul Cages is an outstanding album. It really is. It's also one of the first paper digipacks. Weirdly, the CD. So I definitely recommend actually sitting down with this entire album. The Father MC was an early Puffy Bad Boy project. Oh wow. Or what? No, he was Tommy Boy. Excuse me. Was he with Tommy Boy? Was he like a little A&R kid at Tommy Boy? I don't remember. Anyway, Sting's All This Time. The drum production on this record, because I'm a drummer, I always talk about this. But the bass is the bass production actually is super clean and really interesting. The frequency response of the bass playing on All This Time in particular, it's one of those albums because it's like Peter Gabriel or Sting or whoever, like every song is just totally over. They're like all over it. So the productions do change a little bit from song to song. It's not as monochromatic. I'm sorry, I'm trying to unlock my goddamn phone, but it's like covered in sweat and sunscreen. I'm just making sure that I don't need to go pick the kids up. They're at the beach. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, Soul Cages really spend time with that, right? It's worth sitting down and listening to that whole album. It's an important album. It's got a couple of really great singles on it. There's another one that I love too. God, it's so good. It reminds me of fucking mowing the lawn, like everything does around this time because I'm 15. I think it might be from the next record though. There was another good song on that next record he had after this. I'm just going to Google this real quick. Mad About You is on this. That's infamous. Why Should I Cry For You? It's so cheesy. I'm thinking of the little bird sound in it. I can't believe I like this song. I used to have this on mixtapes like crazy, like The Church, Metropolis, Sting, Why Should I Cry For You? Like, yeah, that's totally. I mean, it was like 15. What do you do? Yeah, it's his dad dying. Soul Cages is the dad dying record. And yeah, I've talked repeatedly about Peter Gabriel's Us, which we're going to get to. I think that's 92. Fucking bomb-ass record. What other weird ones? There are some weird dance fucking things coming up. Charade. Trey Spencer's This House. Olita Adams, Get Here. Is that a ballad or a dance song? I don't remember that one. Tara Kemp, Hold You Tight. There's so many weird cuts coming through. And then I did talk about this one. Deeper Shade of Soul, Urban Dance Squad. Or yeah. This was big shit. This was a big song. Urban Dance Squad came out of the gate with a logo. They got a shield kind of logo going on. And big, I talked about Do What You Like and Digital Underground. Like, Urban Dance Squad was supposed to be this vibe, like the, you know, just watch the video for Free Fallin', right? It's ramp skating, pool skating. It's everybody's cool. It's jams shorts. It's fucking, you know, jams and body glove and all the surf wear shit. Like the day glow, you know, everybody's cool vibe thing is Deeper Shade of Soul, particularly the video, big, you know, documentary evidence of what this period was like. I mean, what they were marketing it as being like to kids, but I start having like chest pains when I do these now because I'm fucking talking for an hour straight. It's crazy. Oh God, Alias, Waiting for Love, Wilson Phillips, You're in Love, Celine Dion, Where Does My Heart Beat Now? I mean, that stuff is still everywhere. All that VH1 wine mom music. We didn't have the word wine mom. Yeah, big time. That's all there. Touch Me All Night Long, Kathy Dennis. It's in the charts. Touch me. Oh, so good. Yeah, Sadness Part 1 comes in here early in March. But one that I talked about last time, which is actually, the album is from 90. I've been thinking about you. Man, London Beat. So good. So many production credits on that London Beat record. I got that for like $1, full on, that CD for $1. I mean, you can get all of this for, I mean, I don't even know if you'd have to spend $100 if you bought the CDs. Like whether you're on Amazon or Discogs or whatever, people are paying $100 for the vinyl of a CD you can get for 50 fucking cents. It is so fucking stupid to me. Like, it's just all about the object vanity. So dumb. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Kathy's version rules. She's not with D-Mob, I don't think, anymore at this point, but she's got everybody, every producer wants to get in there. What was the Twin Peaks song? I still haven't figured it out. I know I heard a song that is a song I'm very familiar with that was on a playlist of mine that I was either running or driving around listening to about a month ago, and I was like, oh my God, the theme from Twin Peaks is 100% a fucking ripoff of this. How has no one ever noticed this? And I've just forgotten it, but I know that it happened. We'll get there. Silent Lucidity, talked about that. Gloria Estefan, oh my God. So Coming Out of the Dark, whew, that was big stuff. This is another one that'll be interesting to research because it did so well and he wrote it. Timmy T, One More Try. Look that up after this because I'm curious. I'm curious what this is. No, it's not the Chris Isaak thing. The Chris Isaak thing is like this. Like the Chris Isaak bass thing from Wicked Game. As soon as everyone heard Wicked Game, everyone had one. Morrissey, My Love Life. Total fucking ripoff of Wicked Game and the overproduced, heavy, plunked bass. The Twin Peaks soundtrack, theme song, 100% fucking influenced directly or indirectly by Wicked Game. Like that video was just a total cultural shift. You know, we're pulling into the Calvin Klein's ads and, you know, Heroin Chic. And I don't know which one's in the video. Is it Helena Christians? I don't know who the fuck it is, but somebody's running around half naked on a beach. Wow, you couldn't get me to watch that. You know, and Chris Isaac's a fucking, you know, he's a total LA actor, like whatever, around the town guy. He's hot as hell, male model. And he was a weird dude and he was funny as hell. He's a great interview. But yeah, Wicked Game is just everybody ripped that shit off. That song was big stuff. Because, you know, you go back to like Chet Baker with that, obviously. Every you know, old wizened critic was just like, yes, clearly this is Chet Baker. Yeah, so what? No one else had. Oh, ABC, Another Bad Creation, Aisha. Aisha was one of their best jams, and it's not really kept alive as much. So go check out Aisha, IESHA, by Another Bad Creation. These were the little kids, I believe. These were the little kids. I think they were from Philly. Like, they were all from Philly, the East Coast family. ABC, BBD, Boyz II Men, like the East Coast family. That's a good, if I'm not mistaken, that was the one I actually thought was a pretty good jam. I don't know why we were trying to listen to that stuff, but it was, I don't know. I like Poison. I mean, Poison is ridiculous. It's so novel. It's so good. But the production on a lot of that stuff wasn't really for me. And then quickly, obviously, Boyz II Men become super famous for the ballads and their incredible, you know, harmony that they just, you know, they'll always be remembered for that because they were better than anybody with it. But yeah, we're 91. We're still getting Cinderella, Heartbreak Station. I mean, yeah, it's not, I don't think it's going to go top 10, but Roxette's Joyride. We go big for Roxette on this channel. that this top 10 at this point is pretty well stuck. I mean, it's been 2 months of like, I've been thinking about you, Wilson Phillips, Rico Suave, Gloria Stefan, and Tesla's Signs, Tesla's cover of Signs. Signs everywhere, signs breaking up the scenery, changing my mind. It's not a bad song, whatever, but Tesla is so fucking bad. Then they had that other ballad, oh my God, Walking for You, like this awful, the dude, first of all, the dude looks like fucking Dave Hill out of Slade. Like his hair is so bad, he's clearly balding. Or he looks like that guy that's on 8 out of 10 Cats sometimes, who looks like a Brian Eno clone, but with like the Dave Hill fucking bangs and long hair. It's just the dude from Tesla had no business as the frontman of a band, apart from the fact that he could sing. He could sing, I couldn't. So 91, now we're getting Step On, Happy Mondays, number 66. That song got played on MTV a lot. Happy Mondays, considering how little Shawn Ryder is to look at, and especially how little effort he made to be appealing or even like tolerable to look at. Yeah, Step On, you got played. Step On was a big hit. It was bigger than Fool's Gold. Step On was getting played during the day. And you know, they did cool stuff. Like they covered Tuscaloosa Man and like, you know, paid tribute to the guy that they ripped off to do all this stuff. And they credit him on the album. And he like sent Shawn Ryder a letter and was like, thank you for making the world interested in my song again. Like he totally got it, which is the coolest part of all the lifting that, you know, the Mondays did. I mean, all their songs are lifted because they just didn't give a shit at all. Because he just wanted to buy and sell more smack. I mean, they were literally drug dealers all the way up to this point. Shawn Ryder was holding or selling Class A drugs his whole career. And like people don't realize that. People don't realize the Happy Mondays literally bought ecstasy back to England. The Happy Mondays, the extremely famous band, is the reason that ecstasy got to England and rave culture takes off. They smuggled it back from Ibiza in a tube of toothpaste. It's fucking true. It's real. Multiple people have corroborated it. Peter Hoek says it in his book. Shawn Ryder obviously goes into it a bit in his. They were dealing E before. There's a joke about it in 24 Hour Party People that Bez was just giving an E to Bernard Sumner from New Order in the studio. Like they were literally dealing drugs. It's so you got to read Shawn Ryder's book. It's so good and so funny, and he's got such a great like self-critical sense of humor about himself, considering all the shit he did. But oh god, it's so good. Anyway, they did Chart Here, which is great for them. Losing My Religion comes in here. This is the summer when, the spring and summer when that's big. I Want to Sex You Up. Now, I Want to Sex You Up when it starts charting by Color Me Bad. First of all, I've been thinking, the main dude is not that good looking. The main dude is in Color Me Bad. That's like supposed to be the main sex symbol. It's not that good looking. And the rest of the guys are absolute clown ass motherfuckers. Like they could not get in the fucking club. No one else in Color. I don't even know if the singer in Color Me Bad could get in the fucking club. That band is corny as fuck. Like, dude, I don't understand how that happened. It's so crazy. They're such beta males. Well, everyone in Color Me Bad is a total beta male. Yet, like, massive pinup money put behind them. But yeah, I Want to Sex You Up is actually not a single from their album. It was a single from New Jack City. The movie, infamously, Chris Rock was such a badass for doing this, and CB4 making fun of the dramatic crack smoking scenes in New Jack City. Like, the movie, those back then... So my favorite movie, like, look, there's no denying it. This is a period of blaxploitation. This is the second generation. This is the second wave of blaxploitation, 100%. My favorite movie from this period is Deep Cover, starring Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum. The idea that this movie has not become the most popular movie in like current millennial Zoomer culture because of Jeff Goldblum is really weird to me, because it's literally a perfect film. It's so good. It's like King of New York. It's like a redux of King of New York, but with like more updated, up to the moment 90s kind of like black cultural touchstones. But it's a little bit later. Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, all this stuff. Like this is all coming out of New Jack City, and like, let's be blunt, white suburban kids are totally emulating and identifying with black culture in a way that has not happened since the Little Richard days, the earliest days of rock and roll. When NWA and Two Live Crew and all this shit blows up, I've talked about it in one of those old videos too. You got white suburban kids wearing soap on a rope and like, you know, listening to this music over and over again because it's righteous. This is a righteousness and an anger that's legitimate, and white suburban kids don't have access to that. They feel that way because they don't have any power. They're children, but like this is an expression of legitimate righteousness and rage. So I mean, it's a reductionist thing, but after Do the Right Thing in this whole moment, it's so different, and it is such a part of a lot of suburban kids' identikits. I mean, I'm not going to get into any stories, but like me personally, I never was like extroverted in. I never like wore on my. I still wore all black. I still was like a total like. I looked like a skater scarecrow. Like I never dressed in any way that I identified that I listened to hip hop. But like, I was in one of those towns where it's like, you know what I mean? There's like 5 black students in my school. So all of those kind of, awful stereotypical scenarios and stuff, they're all there. That's totally the fabric of my upbringing. There's jokes about, Chappelle makes jokes about it, like in the Chappelle show when there's the guy who starts singing along to, when John Mayer's playing guitar and he's singing along to Patience or More Than Words or whatever. One of those big acoustic hair metal ballads. And he's like, I can't help it. I grew up in the Burbs. That's sort of what I'm talking about. Anyway, Skate Crow. Yeah, sure. That works. I was a skate crow. I'll take it. Just the Way It Is, Baby, the Rembrandts. People don't realize the Rembrandts had hits before Friends. They did. It was number 20, was it? No, 14. Just the Way It Is, Baby by the Rembrandts. So that would be surprising, I think, the way that history has remembered that band, to know that they were actually doing well as like a kind of middle of the road alt band. Brendan Lee died from a kickflip, and they're hiding the truth from us. Brandon, not Brendan. Come on, man. I cried at the end of the fucking Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. I full on cried in the end of that movie when there's a scene involving Brandon Lee. Like, totally. When that guy died filming The Crow, everybody was like, The Crow was a big deal. It was 93. We'll get there. But like the Crow soundtrack, I can't even tell you how big a deal that was. It was as big, I would say, like Nevermind and the Crow soundtrack are almost like 1 and 2. Like, I mean, Helmet was big. That's next year in the meantime. But that Crow soundtrack, everybody got that shit because everybody got clocked on that. They got Pete Stone Temple Pilots. They got The Cure. They got, everybody on that thing. I mean, big shit. And the movie was pretty legit too. It had really good action sequences, but I mean, no good acting. The lady who was in Unforgiven played like a mom in that or something, kind of like Jennifer Jason Leigh in Last Exit from Brooklyn. Oh, that's an unwatchably painful movie. Okay, let's get going. We're up for an hour and 17. I got to shut it down here soon. May, She Talks to Angels, Black Crows. Like I told you, this is when they come in through with that next record, really hot on the heels of the first one. They're really inspired to get beyond how kind of like basic and traditional maybe the first record is with Hard to Handle and like Jealous Again stuff. These are great songs. They're still good. But like this is kind of 70s rock, and they want to be a little more, like I said it in the last video, they want to be more well-rounded. They want to play a broader, more real tribute to Southern music. So the Southern Harmony Musical Companion is it's really good. Remedy and She Talks to Angels both. I don't know if they went number 1, but they should have. Really good stuff. Oh God, when is The Heights? The TV show. They make a fake TV. No, it's got to be later. That's got to be like years later than this. Oh, I just remembered that. Oh, that's going to be tough. Maybe I'll have my wife do that one. She was all over The fucking Heights. Rush, Paula Abdul. Keanu Reeves in the video. Keanu Reeves in the video. Rush. Paul Abdul. Go watch it. Just go watch it. Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell 2. All these big production videos. Like this is the period where they're like making big ass production concept videos. And Keanu Reeves is in the Rush video with Paula. And he pretty much upstages her, I'm going to say. More Than Words, Extreme. And I love you is not the words I want to hear from you. Oh man, probably. I mean, one of the biggest breakup makeup ballads of all time. More Than Words. I mean, that is the prom ballad, bar none, for the early '90s. But we can just move off that. I mean, More Than Words still gets played on the radio all the time. Maybe it's because I'm around Boston and the Extreme are from Boston. My band actually practiced in Extreme's practice room. Not fucking kidding. Way past the time when they had a career of any note in the late '90s. Those guys were practicing in a huge practice space in Somerville. And we were one of the other bands that was on that room. There were 4 bands in that room. So fucking funny. Those guys are cool as shit. They're so fucking down to earth. Like, just the same way, Joe Perry is from Aerosmith, and Steven Tyler. Like, they're just fucking rad guys, but I could not stand their band, obviously. Firehouse. Oh my God, Firehouse, Don't Treat Me Bad. So it's still, it's still there, yeah, Mr. Big, To Be With You. You're right. When I talked in the last video about like my relatives in Indiana and like, Midwest and stuff, Mr. Big's To Be With You was way bigger, and Damn Yankees too, way bigger out there than, because they had legacy 70s guys in the bands. So that's another, I mean, there's a hair metal podcast with Maura Johnston you can look for that I did. And she's like a total fucking encyclopedic expert on this stuff, but like lots of Gary Sharon joins Van Halen. You got like the Power Station, the lead singer of the Power Station was a dude from Detective, going straight up through the hair metal bands. There were tons of LA Guns and like Rotation, and watch Decline 2. Decline 2 is also all about that. It's about like hanging on guys who've been around since the 70s, like London. Attention everybody! Yeah, so Unbelievable happens. This is May '91. EMF's Unbelievable. Wow. It was big. It was very, very, very big. It was big in a way that I would say to you that when Jesus Jones Right Here, Right Now came out, it was sort of like, oh, I love that song, Unbelievable. Good, there's another one. Like, there's no question, Right Here, Right Now was clocking. Everybody in the dance pop scene, Food Records, Dave Balfe over there, everybody who was doing, like, a band like Blur is smart guys with ideas. They know this is already over when they're getting forced to do There's No Other Way. They're like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. They want to delete that song from their life because, they just feel like they know it was regressive and it was aimed at current chart trends and they're embarrassed of it. I don't think they need to be anymore. It's a great song. But bands that wanted to make hits, EMF's Unbelievable was a surefire hit, and it was easy as fucking hell to make another one. Sing is one of their best songs ever. I don't think it's underrated. I mean, Jesus Christ, as soon as they put that in Trainspotting, everybody was just like, Eternal. Sing is fine. It's not underrated at all. I mean, there's many people Sing is their favorite Blur song, like full stop. It's one of mine. I'd put it top 10 for sure. Like, you think I give a shit about Country House? C'est toi successful fella. Get the fuck out. I don't need that shit. I mean, I love Blur. So I haven't talked to you. I got a Miata. So I went and got old tapes, like period correct Maxell tapes from this time. And I made like 90-minute mixes of Blur, Oasis, everything. Like, I love all this stuff. But I just, being critical, I don't think Sing is overlooked at all. Mama Said Knock You Out. Yes, she did. That comes in here. What's another good one? Oh God, here we go. We did Jesus Christ. Gotta talk about it. Latour. People Are Still Having Sex. The fucking anti-AIDS album anthem. It's not an anti-AIDS album, but this song got into like heavily high in the Hot 100. People are still having sex. I mean, it's like a Right Said Fred fucking song. And it was just a reaction to the hysteria around safe sex. Like, you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't turn on the radio. You couldn't turn on TV. You couldn't turn on MTV without getting a like condom fucking slammed in your face. It was just like condoms all the time. You got to respond, safe sex. It was really like, it was super annoying because you were like a kid trying to like have sex for the first time. Yeah, man, we used to call them gloves. I mean, everyone had slang for it. I'm just 100,000. But anyway, it was like, it was definitely embarrassing buying them because they were prior to this, they're at par with like stag films in American culture. It's like totally frowned upon. Like the only people who wear condoms are like, sailors and what, it's an old joke. Jimmy Hat, that was big. Yeah, Jimmy Hat was on. That was all over. And so people are still having sex, and like, even when Push It came out, Salt and Pepper back in '89 or whatever it was, I can't remember. That was considered like, this song's literally about doing it. This is about doing it. We gotta get condoms. Like, it was really stifling and over the top. It was just too much. There's another one I'm gonna have to go look up. I don't remember this. Kisses in the Night by Brandon. Just Brandon. Just go with Brandon. I'm gonna have to look that one up. You can too. Guy. Let's Chill by Guy. That is another one that needs to get brought back in the fucking loop. Oh my God. And then Timmy T has another hit with One More Try. So he's got Over and Over and One More Try. He writes One More Try, but Over and Over is by someone else. Oh my God. Is it a Carole King song? Is it a cover? I'm gonna have to look. Here's another weird one that comes in there. And I liked this song. Simple Minds went full on U2 sellout. It's not in reaction to Octung Baby because Octung Baby's not out, but it's in reaction to Joshua Tree 100%. This song, See the Lights. And listen, Simple Minds is established and way fucking bigger than U2 for 5 years before U2 has jack shit going on. They're a very important band. They were an important new romantic band. And if you think about the time of the Psychedelic Furs, Love My Way, Simple Minds, Promise You a Miracle was an absolutely fucking smash, original, killer fucking new romantic kind of early synth smash. It's so fucking good. Like I still listen to Promise You a Miracle all the fucking time. And then they got, Don't You Forget About Me, and they had Alive and Kicking. They sold fucking truckloads. Dude married Chrissy Hind. They were huge, man. Their album art was like, I think it was in Ferris Bueller. This is not a band, but they had totally crashed. Their ebb was totally over by about 87. And so they came back here with this really down fucking like, they were trying to go mature or something. It's weird. I don't know if they're going for the Sting audience thing or what, but there is a good song called See the Lights. I think it's probably way too long if I was going to listen to it now, but I loved it at the time. If you listen to it now, I'm sure the bells are like some horrible fucking cheesy pad, but New Gold Dream is definitely the high point. That's the album cover I was talking about, this New Gold Dream. I mean, that's iconic. It contains such a fucking strong, great record. But See the Lights is a great little U2. It's too much U2 and not enough Simple Minds, I guess is my point. Simple Minds has a lot more like fresh, bright, kind of cuts and moves in their stuff. U2 is very like back on its heels and throbbing. I guess. What the fuck I'm talking about. Walking in Memphis, Mark Cohn. Fuck. I have not listened to Walking in Memphis. And probably since it was on this chart. This is big hours, this song. I'm walking in Memphis. You got to go listen to it. Like same way you got to go listen to Black Velvet. Black Velvet, Atlanta Miles. This is the same kind of thing. Walking in Memphis, Mark Cohn, I think of like when the dude from Red Rider, Tom Cochran, comes back with Life is a Highway. Like it's one of those things where, man, good on that dude. Good on that dude getting in here, man. That's a great song. And so here's Right Here, Right Now. It's the same exact time as Unbelievable. It's storming up the charts, and then the Iraq War. So this was a huge deal. This should be, I don't know if there's a landmark ruling in the way that like Crispin Glover's lawsuit against the Back to the Future production was, but Right Here, Right Now was used in like commercial footage of CNN's coverage of the Iraq War. It's totally unprecedented. CNN was showing like the bombs blown. No one had ever had footage like this in the history of like anything. It was all aerial if they even had any. But now you're watching like literally Scud missiles and cruise missiles and shit rain down on Iraq because of the Kuwait invasion under George Herbert Walker Bush. And there's a really infamous moment where CNN has got some bumper that they put together and they play Right Here, Right Now over it. Jesus Jones flipped the fuck out. And they did an injunction to prevent him from doing it. And MTV News was all over that shit. It was good. It was a good, big moment. Amy Grant, baby. Amy Grant. See, you're never going to go wrong with Amy Grant. Amy Grant's never going to steer your kids wrong. She's not going to steer your girl wrong. You put up an Amy Grant poster, I'm a good parent. I got nothing to stress about. That kid's sneaking the fuck out at 1 a.m, riding their bike to the fucking town cemetery and getting wasted. Yeah, baby, Amy Grant. This was her big, like, putting the Christian 5 years of Christian girl shit behind her, and now, like, I'm like more of a woman or whatever. Joe Strummer cried as Rock the Casbah played during the invasion. I'm sure a million radio stations were playing Rock the Casbah when it was going on, the same way they played Killing an Arab by The Cure, and The Cure had to put a fucking sticker on Standing on a Beach, you know. I don't know what Raving I'm Raving is, but Joe might have a really crush new t-shirt coming. I sent him the template last night. We'll see if we can make it happen. Joe, I got the bill on this. If you, seriously, whatever it is, I want to make sure everybody gets a copy of this shirt if we can do it. So anyway, what do we got here? 1 hour and 30 minutes. We're going to have to shut it down. And we're in a good place here. We're in May. And like I said, I'm going to gap it and we'll go into pop punk and underground shit and another one next time. Black Box, Strike It Up. That's power. That's still got power. Playground, ABC's Playground. This was their big hit, man. At the Playground, Chilling at the Playground, y'all, was the album. The title track, Playground, was big, was on all the time. Wow, Kathy Dennis was slow burning and is now top 10. Good on Kath. What's up? I like the way The Kissing Game by High Five. This is so bad. Shut Up and Dance, Raving I'm Raving. Okay, I'll look it up. Man, it's fucking hot. This is one of the main reasons I did this, because it's going to be like 95 for the next 4 days. Out of that. Mama Said Knock You Out. Oh, Here I Am, Come and Take Me by UB40. That's an important one. That charted massively in England and big in America too. You know, good on them. Keeping it going. UB40, always there for you. I'm trying to think, is there anything weird? There's very little weird in the charts. It's all underground. And again, we're going to get in there a couple of different times, because this is the 90s. Like 7-inch culture is by the mid 90s, when it's like you've had Superchunk blowing up on, this is all college campus, you know, teenage, whatever, hipster stuff. Like this thing gets so crazy, and the division between realities is just, I'm gonna have to do like 2 videos for every year at some point. It's just gonna be ridiculous. Motown Philly back again. And that was big, man. Boyz II Men. This comes in this summer too, June. Passion, Rhythm Syndicate, Passion, Rhythm Syndicate. This is some good stuff. Like, it's like I told you, it's like this fallout of like high energy new jack swing, this new thing that's just more crystal. It's not Eurodance yet. You don't have the like you don't have any of that stuff going on yet. Did Lemonheads chart? Oh my god, yeah, but that's not till late 92 or 93. Shame About Ray is late. Like, it's not this year. Lemonheads don't do anything until way after Nirvana is over. Really, I mean, honestly, in a lot of Coldwater Flat, yeah, that's Bill Janowitz's brother's band. His little brother had a band. Bill Janowitz, the singer from Buffalo Tom, which there's a compilation I'll talk about in 92, the compilation Fad in 92, and every indie band is on a worthy compilation donating to some fucking great cause. The No Alternative compilation, like mocking the explosion of, like, it's so fucking ridiculous. Like, major labels were paying attention to any of this shit. Now they're like, oh yeah, it's so lame, we're sold out. It was such a weird paralytic fucking Ouroboros of just bullshit. But anyway, Buffalo Tom obviously were big in my life. Let Me Come Over, I think, is either the next year or this, maybe it's even 91. But they had this track For All to See that just ended up on this comp, No Alternative, and it's just, it sounds like sugar, but it is such a great hyperactive up jump fucking indie pop song. It's so good. It's like the wedding present, but with like a really strong singer. Anyway, Bill Janowitz's little brother was in this band Coldwater Flat, and I went to college. My college roommate was his friend. I grew up in the same town as him. So yeah, I heard lots of Coldwater Flat, and I believe that was on Sonic Bubblegum too, which was also friends with. So, I mean, I was tied into this stuff. I was a kid. But I was too young to be playing in bands at this time. I don't even go to college until 93. I graduated high school. And I mean, yeah, so 93. So like, you know, all these bands are happening. I'm aware of them, but like I don't know people until way later in the 90s, because that's when I'm in the bands and playing the shows. But so by that time, Buffalo Tom is like sort of over with Soda Jerk and stuff. Anyway, what else is good that we can talk about from 91? ABC. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go in and listen to Walking in Memphis. It's gonna be tough. Summertime, lay back because it's the summertime. DJ Jazzy Jeff. So everybody wrote them off. Everybody wrote them the fuck off. And then they came back with this absolutely fucking perfect of the moment jam with this fucking just righteously real video of like a barbecue and shit, like so positive. Summertime and like This Is How We Do It. Those two are just like all time fucking just like honest, real shit from people who, you know, have been dealing with all this, you know, completely polarizing marketing, you know, cultural. No, Buffalo Tom's from like near me on the South Shore. I mean, they played Northampton all the time. Yeah, I'm not getting into like UK indie or whatever. I'm gonna have to go. I mean, we can do another video or whatever. But the Wedos by this time, George Best is 87. So like the Wedos are like, I mean, they're past. They're like, you know, they're doing Sea Monsters with Albini, I think is the one. This is the one they did with Dalliance, right? Dalliance is so good. Fuck, I can't get drawn down on an indie tangent. I'm trying to stick to the charts for this one because it's called Chartsweep. Like doing anything about indie in the 90s is going to take for fucking ever. Yeah. Is it a Eric B. and Rakim ripoff? Yeah, it totally is. But it's super obviously slicker production, and it's just a fun, great, real song. And they printed fucking money on it. So then the other side of All for One is Everything I Do It For You, Bryan Adams. The most absolutely canceled motherfucker in the world right now. This was a big twinkling ass motherfucking ballad that really stonked it for a long time. Another one of those prom ballads, just big shit. All right, we're in July, and I'm going to have to rip because I got to go pick the kids up. Oh, shit. Pump It Nice and Hard by Icy Blue. That charted. See, this is crazy because to me, this is stuff that like I'm hearing on mixtapes years later when my friends are going to NYU and I'm hearing like banging tapes are just getting passed around to all these fucking kids. He didn't go to NYU. He went to Sarah Lawrence. My other friends went to NYU the year after. But anyway, everyone's just trading tapes like crazy of like underground mixtapes because they're in New York. So they're buying tapes in the Bronx and they're going to tape, like guys, DJs are making fucking tapes and like this shit is real and really happening. And like that, I fucking remember that from that shit. Now, again, this is later because these are tapes that are getting dubbed and recycled and passed around forever. But yeah, it's 7 weeks at number one. I mean, it was just unbelievable. The Bodyguard is coming up. Yeah, The Bodyguard is either, I think it's late this year. Bodyguard is a Christmas thing. I think it's late this year. But yeah, 3 a.m. Eternal is top 10 in the U.S. I mean, What Time Is Love didn't do that because of the legal copyright issues. But 3 a.m. Eternal, that thing crushed up the charts in the United States. Like, forget rave, forget dance culture, whatever. That was like a big ass fucking hit for months and months. It was like, I think 3 months, and it was solidly in the top 10. Like, you don't fake your way into the top 10 at this point with SoundScan. People were fully buying 3 a.m. Eternal, and like this was a new thing. This is how people heard about this, and articles are starting to get written about rave, which is, you know, we're at 91. We're 3 years on from the Summer of Love in England, but like rave as a popular thing, the same way like moshing becomes a popular thing around the time of Lollapalooza. This is Lollapalooza this year, by the fucking way. Like, and I also did a video completely about this. So there's another video you should go check out if you're curious about any of this, about Lollapalooza. It's 100% about Lollapalooza and me going to the first 3 Lollapaloozas. Google that shit up, Shallow Rewards, Lollapalooza. It'll probably come up. I don't fucking remember what it was called, but White Room is great, and the singles on White Room are nuts. So yeah, seriously, there's a bunch of, like, go look at my old videos. I'm not super, there's probably 3 of them that I wish weren't there. They're just super specific and bitter and bitchy and music writer bullshit that I shouldn't have wasted my fucking time on, but I did. I wasn't in a good place. Pitchfork was going to be sold. I knew that years before it happened. And so there was all this bullshit in my head nobody even fucking knew about or cared about. And so there's just a few of them they're a little embarrassing, but whatever. I did what I did. The important stuff, the first, like the early 15 or so in the shoegaze ones, there's a lot of good stuff in there and fun. and good, like, you know, history of episodes in my life, and Lollapalooza is one of them. So good, thankfully I don't have to try and deal with that here. There is an old video in that. I think it's one of the ones where I'm on. So the other thing about this you should know, you don't need to know, who fucking cares. I had a really weird medical situation going on around the time I made those videos. It was contributing to a lot of my mental state, and I had to take really crazy steroids for like a year. And so, not that I was ever like skinny like this, very, I mean, I have been at various points, but like I'm super, like, on a couple of them I'm pretty off. And my face is just like a fucking pumpkin from these steroids. So it's a weird thing. It doesn't matter, but I mean, this is 8 years ago I made these. And, you know, hey, Brian Baum's kept them out there. Thanks. Someone else has been uploading them. Whatever. I mean, seriously, thank you. I don't mean to be disingenuous and shitty, but it's not all great for me to have to revisit some of that. Shiny happy people. Like imagine if you were like a big REM fan in the 80s and you were so fucking pissed about Stand, and then they come back and fucking nail you as Shiny Happy People. Like, and it's right after Candy by Iggy Pop with Kate Pearson. Now you get Shiny Happy People with Kate Pearson, and the B-52s are everywhere, and it's like, fuck, I can't get rid of these fucking people. Jesus Christ. This is Boston, not LA. It is horrible. That's the... No, 285 Kent's the one that's horrible. This is Boston's okay, because it is jealous history of Boston. And there were some Boston seamsters who were emailing me after that. The dude from O Positive was just like, yeah, you know, and I was like, look, man, I had to tell it. I had to tell on him. I had to tell him on that. But yeah, Shiny Happy People. Dude, this ruined it for me so bad, man. It was so annoying and not ironic. And Everybody Hurts is just as bad. Everybody Hurts is just like, are you kidding me? Lawrence Welk, what the fuck is this shit? It sucks. Everybody Hurts fucking sucks. It's not a good ballad. It's a terrible fucking ballad with a rinky-dink fucking Lawrence Welk guitar lick that can fucking blow the fuck out of here. This was a bit of an impact in my life. You down with OTT? Yeah, you know me. All fucking day in high school in the hallway. All fucking day. You down with OTT? All day. Naughty by nature. And then this was the other one. So I talked about People Are Still Having Sex by Latour. Shady a little bit right after that. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Salt and Pepper. That boomed up. There She Goes, charts in America, late. This is September. I remember There She Goes from the summer because it was on 120 Minutes all the time, but it crosses over to the Hot 100 here. So, you know, good for Lee Neighbors and the fucking Laws. There's a nasty one. Steelheart. Go look this shit up. She's Gone, Lady by Steelheart. And then, yeah, like I said, I gotta go get the kids. I gotta shut it down. You Could Be Mine, Guns N' Roses. So this is, like I said, in the fall. Metallica. Oh, well, the second Chase Color Me Bad single that I couldn't think of earlier was I Adore Me Amor. That's some awful stuff. Letting them know I'm coming to pick them up. Cream. Get on top. Prince's Cream. People are very divided about this band. The drummer is so fucking good. The dude is like, it's like construction cranes he's on the fucking beat. I mean, it's like Cream and Get Off. Like, it's so sick as a drummer. When you hear a really fucking good hardcore funk R&B class studio drummer, it's just different. And I can't explain it, maybe not if you're not a drummer, but like that dude is just, he just was like, he literally just moved his wrist and it was like the sound of fucking thunder. Like, and he's just, I mean, he's a big dude, but, and he's wearing like the Nubian bullshit in one of the videos, but like, fuck, man. Oh, and Enter Sandman too. Ooh. Yeah, it's all coming. It's all coming back. This is it. It's all about Wholehearted by Extreme. Oh, this is so bad. This is the one that's like, there's a hole in my heart that can only be filled by you. This is literally, I just turned 16. I just turned 16 at this point, and it's just like, this is all flooding. Shit's flying in my head. And I live next door to the house I was living in when I grew up. It's like, fuck, man. He hates the MPG rock drummer, really. Well, I know your background. That's exactly what I'm talking about, man. A lot of people do not fucking like that. So I married an axe murderer. That's where a lot of people heard the Primitives crash, and there she goes. Yeah, absolutely. But out of the gate, the Laws and the Sundays did like present tense business in the U.S., not just in the U.K. I mean, obviously, the Laws album is like not considered as historic. I mean, Oasis constantly gives Lee Mavers lip service the same way they do for Richard Ashcroft and the Verve. Like, everybody over there knows this was a missed opportunity because this guy's a little bit off, and I've talked about that in other videos. All right, so we come. I mean, Cream is number one at this point. We're almost around Thanksgiving. And then OPP gets to number one. God, I remember being really cold when I was hearing these songs. Oh, God, Superman's song, Crash Test Dummies, gets there. Sixpence There She Goes was bigger. Oh, my God, are you kidding me? The Laws didn't sell shit compared to that. That sold like 1 trillion fucking albums. When you're talking about Sixpence None the Richer, you're talking about Paula Cole. You're talking about like Friends Core. You're talking about Dawson's Creek. That's a whole other fucking world. That's like the 1.0 version of the fucking Hills and OC. Like pop music and TV shows, this shit's not happened yet. It's about to happen, but it's not even close in 91. That's a whole different universe than what we're talking about. We're talking about radio, FM, MTV, and that's fucking it. There's no crossovers and TV tie-ins. It's very rare. Bands are super fucking sketchy about their music being licensed for anything. That whole world, you don't understand. Like, The Cure never let a song be used in anything. Not a single movie, commercial, nothing. Until this indie movie where they wrote him a heartfelt letter and they're like, can we just play like 10 seconds of the Love Cats? And he's like, fuck it, sure. Yeah, the Natalie Imbruglia song Robert Smith, Phil Thornalley wrote the song Thorn but Natalie Imbruglia and Ed Swap both edits it. It's by Phil Thornalley, the Cure's bassist. Wrote it in 1984. Took 10 fucking years or more until Natalie Imbruglia had a huge hit with it. How can I wrap this up? Anything good? Amy Grant, Maxi Priest. We talked about Maxi Priest in 1990. There it is. It was this year. Da, 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 da. Set Adrift on Memory, Bliss of You, PM Dawn. I mean, this and Black or White by Michael Jackson are out at the same time. Urban Dance Squad, Set Adrift on Memory, Bliss, PM Dawn. We haven't hit Tennessee by Arrested Development yet, I don't think. This is like Nubian consciousness stuff. This is another thing, like New Jack Swing, that's like there, and it's there's so much visual marketing to it, and it's weird in a way. But it's a beautiful song. Like I said, it's Spandau Ballet's True and the Milli Vanilli beat, and it fucking spanks. It's good. You want it. KRS throwing them off stage was a good decision. Yeah. No, they weren't popular. Like, no doubt. People like KRS and you know, anybody, you know, MC Sean, like anybody who came up in the fucking real shit in the Bronx and whatever, the bridge is over, like Boogie Down and I mean, the people who were still around, like KRS, like they were not that excited about this. This did seem like a diluting of something that a lot of people had been fighting for and fighting to keep control of, like Public Enemy. You know, and KRS-One fighting to keep. Am I seriously going to say keep it real? Did that just fucking happen? I'm going to fucking. I'm going to go sit in the corner. Too Legit to Quit. Oh my God, Genesis, No Son of Mine. A fucking another domestic violence hit. Like Phil Collins is like the domestic violence king. He's done. Man, I wish it would rain. The I Wish It Would Rain Down song is the video is like a kid running away from an abusive home. No Son of Mine is like an abusive dad kicking his gay son out or something. Like Phil, dark hours for Phil, dark years. I Can't Dance, like boing beep. That's one of the worst fucking songs, dude. This whole thing, and the tour was huge, and it sold out all over the fucking United States. I couldn't believe it. Genesis were massive still. It was unbelievable to me. Very weird. Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears. That was a big hit. No More Tears was good. And now I'm Too Sexy. That's perfect. That's a great way to end it. So like transition from 91 into 92 is I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred. A TV presenter in a leather vest with no shirt on, juicing roids to get pecs. We love you, England. Way to go.